So we touched on this a while back that Alan Wake 2 was likely a flop. Well, now more information's coming to light, and Remedy has revealed that the Sweet Baby Inc. infected Alan Wake 2 has only sold 1.8 million copies. Yikes. Hasn't this been out for like nearly over a year at this point? I remember I played it on stream when it first came out. I was a fan of Alan Wake, and I had my thoughts and concerns about Alan Wake 2. We all know exactly why it failed, guys, because Sweet Baby Inc., anything that they touch, for the most part, there's exceptions like Spider-Man, but that's Spider-Man. Anything they touch dies like almost immediately. So now apparently the CEO is not happy. And 1.8 million copies sold for a big franchise like Alan Wake is pretty sad. Pretty sad. So this is a news from their Capital Markets Day. This was a tweet that was out. They finally announced that it sold over 1.8 million units. The Control Ultimate Edition will release on Mac February 12th. Control 2 will be an action RPG. Control will receive a free update. So mostly about Control, right? Which is a game that a lot of people actually enjoy and have no qualms about. In fact, it's one of Remedy's best games. But Alan Wake 2 was supposed to be a system banger, like a great game that everybody was supposed to buy and enjoy, but instead they had to wokeify it, right? They had to put certain things about it that were a little cringe, with DEI being infected inside of it. Now, during a Q&A presentation not too long ago, Remedy CEO Tero Virtala was questioned about what he thought about the sales for Alan Wake 2, and this is exactly what he said. I think Alan Wake 2, the sales have two sides. On the one hand, when the game is not yet profitable, are we happy? We are not happy. So he's just coming out and saying it. Every game that we make, especially with this quality level, they should be profitable faster. Now, by no means was the quality of Alan Wake 2 low. I think there were some good graphics in it. I was amazed by the atmosphere, especially when you go out on that one town at the beginning and it's like a docks and it's kind of like all dark and scary looking. It almost reminded me of Twin Peaks a little bit of The Walking Dead. Has a good environment. It captures that horror aesthetic. There's some good cutscenes, voice acting. But again, for whatever reason, all these companies are more focused on having Sweet Baby Inc. help make their narratives and correct the check boxes and things like that. And this game didn't even really feature Alan Wake that much. It was actually a little bit more like a 60-40 split between Alan and the other character, which their name is escaping my mind at this point. But I did stream it. I did review it. Now, continuing on, it sucks because a lot of games these days are actually really expensive to make, especially these big AAA bangers, these third-party bangers. They have a lot to live up for, especially if the original Alan Wake did so great and is in the back of everybody's mind as such a great franchise. They got a lot of proving to do. But then again, the budget just ain't there. If you're going to sell 1.8 million units, you're not going to make your money back. The quote that the CEO goes on to say is, but then at the same time, the sales of Alan Wake 2 have quite been in line with our original estimates. Yes, our productions didn't quite work as well as they do today a few years back. In a way, we ended up investing more into the game, and therefore the part set has been higher. So with the higher part set, this in a way forecast its sales that we have followed hasn't yet been enough to equal the development costs. So right there, they're admitting the development costs are just way too high for this game. I don't know if it's an issue more of that Sweet Baby Inc. is involved with it or just people had no interest in this game. I can't tell you. But isn't it a weird coincidence that a common denominator in a lot of these flops is that Sweet Baby Inc. or some other consulting company are involved with it? I mean, I tend to look at the common denominator in all these problems. So they go on to say, I wouldn't want to speculate what the long-term possibilities are. Our business cases depend on the game are 3 to 5 years. So there's still a lot of time for Alan Wake 2 to sell. We have seen that Control over 5 years has sold 4.5 million units and continues to sell. So do we think Alan Wake 2 still has a lot of potential ahead of it? So yeah, they're saying Control has sold 4.5 million units over 5 years. I haven't heard too much bad things about Control. In fact, I haven't played it, but I've heard great fucking things about it. So they're saying that they have 3 to 5 years to make their profit cost on here. It's already been about one for Alan Wake 2. So I don't know. I don't think there's any way they're going to be able, because if they put the game on sale at a discount, they're not making their profit back that easily. I don't think there's any major updates coming to this game either. Especially if it hasn't turned a profit, they're not going to put a DLC or expansion out there. So how are they going to get the word about this game? It's a little too late to do a marketing push, right? They're just going to have to hope that people buy the game. Again, budgets. This is just like what's happening in Hollywood. Now, Finnish analyst Atte Riikola had previously estimated that the game cost $70 million, with $50 million going to development and the other $20 million going to marketing. Yikes. That analysis clearly underestimated how much the company spent on the game, given the base game was retailing at $49.99 on the Epic Game Store. With 1.8 million units sold, that's about $90 million in revenue, or approximately 85 million euro. Obviously, there are some other factors that would go into this. Physical editions for the game are retailing at $59.99, and deluxe versions range from $69.99 to $79.99. However, it's currently discounted on the Epic Game Store for $34.99. Regardless, it seems apparent that even sound 1.8 million units is not enough for the game to break even and begin to generate any kind of profit. So I remember we saw a document that talked about the first quarter of 2024, where they admitted that they only had 1.3 million units at the beginning of February. So now it's almost a year later. You're telling me they've only sold 500,000 units in the past 10 months? So it says, Virtala is optimistic the game will continue to sell. Sales of the game have clearly stagnated. Again, I don't think anybody's going to go out of the way to purchase this game. So the last time the company had provided sales data for the game was in its business review document, which I just mentioned, for the first quarter of 2024, where it revealed the game had sold 1.3 million units as of beginning of February. That means the game only sold around 500,000 units over the past 10 months. That's an average of 50,000 units per month. Remedy had previously revealed it sold 1 million copies by the end of December 2023, after being released at the end of October 2023. So between the first 3 months, it sold 1 million copies. This means that 55% of all sales for the game were conducted in the game's first 2 months. 72% of all sales in the first 3 months after it was released. So the people that were going to buy this game have already bought it. That's what it sounds like. If 72% of your sales were in the first 3 months after it was released, and it came out a year ago, that's it. There's nothing that's going to make people want to come back to this game, or that's going to attract new audiences to it. Unfortunately, that's just the way business goes. And I'm not even talking about wokeness and stuff like that. This is just numbers. So it says, even if the game continued to sell at 50,000 units per month, it would not achieve 4.5 million units sold. It would only reach 4.2 million. It's also hard to imagine the game would continue to average 50,000 units a month. It's more likely that number would continue to decline the more time passes, especially since the game does not appear to have any DLC or expansions past the Lake House, which arrived about a year after the game's initial release. So yeah, they just had like a Lake House expansion come out, and that's about it. There's not going to be anything substantial. I don't know if I would blame Sweet Baby Inc. on this, but again, it's another game where money went to Sweet Baby Inc. Money went to a consulting company that could have went into possibly marketing this better or making it a better game. At the end of the day, that was money that was spent on a consulting company, which I feel for a horror game, you don't need that shit. You just need to have a great story, a great narrative. But what do I know about developing video games? Anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Subscribe if you're brand new, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. As always, take care.